and welcome to Rolling with Reviews. I'm Will, and with me as always is the person who likes a big bowl of Flamecraft mac and cheese,
Sarah.
And today we're doing a review of Flamecraft. Sarah, tell us a bit about this game.
All right, players become flame keepers, and through worker placement and resource management, they aid the town by placing dragons and enchanting shops. The player with the highest reputation becomes known as the Master of Flamecraft. All right, Will, so why did we get this?
Well, there's dragons.
That's true.
And there's cute dragons.
Yes, and we also like the mechanisms.
And there's cute dragons.
And we liked the production.
And there's cute dragons.
And I guess there's cute dragons. All right, so let's move on to what we like about the game.
The cute dragons?
Yeah. Yes, the dragons are very cute. And there are a lot of puns in the game, so they did a lot of cute punny names, which I wish I could remember any of them at the moment.
Pan and Cookie from my bread dragons.
Right, but like some of the shop names also.
Yeah, they played
like,
on existing things, so that if you saw it, you're like, oh, yeah.
Right, like there was one that was like a fast food name.
There was a Taco Bell reference.
Yes, but it wasn't Taco Bell.
What was it? Oh.
I'll find it and put it up on the screen.
Okay. Good enough.
Good enough. Speaking of good enough, it's a good blend of worker placement and resource management, which are two mechanisms that work really well together and we enjoy. And so that generally gets us interested.
Yeah, and for the most part, they actually did a lot of positive player interaction, where it's not a, I got you, and now you lose all this stuff, but a, here's more opportunities, or here's some stuff. In fact, one whole section of dragons, the leaf dragons, when you use their ability, you will actually give another player a thing so you could get points. Right.
And there's no blocking. If you go to a shop that another dragon is at, you just give him one of your resources. It's like, hey, buddy, nice to see you. Here you go. Here's a gift. And the nice part is the resources are pretty plentiful.
Yes.
So you never really, I mean, it's kind of slow to get started, but then you can keep on a roll, especially as the town gets built up and more dragons are there and more enchantments are there. And it just kind of has a snowballing thing.
Yes.
And I think that also brings into your thought about the organic evolution of the gameplay.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent for a game needs to start small and simple, and through the player's choices, it evolves into something more complex. But because it's doing it over time and slowly, everybody is completely on board with how this complex thing works. When if they had just started with a game that was very complex, they could be like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, it'd be very overwhelming. But here it's like, okay, every shop starts with one dragon. Okay, that's great. I know how that works. I go there, I get a few resources, but I can play another dragon. And Will sees I played another dragon. And he's like, okay, well, I'm going to go to a different shop or whatever. Or maybe goes to the same shop and he gains benefits of that dragon. So it does have this slow but steady growth into something more complex. But by the time you get to complex, you understand it.
Yes.
Definitely. We also absolutely love the deluxe components. The fact that there are 2 trays of components means that I get one, Will gets one, and because we have the deluxe, everything's uniquely shaped, Will can completely handle his pieces all by himself.
Yeah, I can play with my toast.
Yes, he can play with the toast and put it on the anvil and
make a toasty anvil sandwich. That's a heavy sandwich.
Also, speaking of just components, the insert in here is really good for organization. So it's very quick to set up, really quick to put away. And also there's a small little variant that you can use in games after your first, and it's the companions. It's basically a little asymmetric power you can use once per game.
Yes.
And those are really nice. I think that's everything we like about the game.
Did we mention cute dragons?
I think you did, but you can mention it again.
No, we're good with that.
All right, let's move on to what we do not like about the game. The game mat is really pretty.
It's really long.
It's really long, and it will not fit on a lot of tables. Thankfully, we have a pretty long table, so it fits. But if you were to take this anywhere, like this is not a cafe table, game. You could not fit this anywhere that's small. And this downside is the mat, as pretty as it is, and it's nice and it rolls up and it fits in the box. it's pretty unnecessary. The only part of it that's really functional, other than just organization of components, is the score track. Otherwise, you put the shops on the outside, top and bottom long edges. You've got a fountain where the coins go. You've got the park where the artisan dragons go, and there's a couple spaces for decks and the enchantments. So it organizes everything well on the table. It's just...
Well, it gives good table presence.
It does. It does give good table
presence.
presence.
So that might help players remember the game a bit more.
But if you need to put things in different places because your table configuration is different, you would need to find another way to track scores, but otherwise you could organize all this information elsewhere in a different orientation, because you do not need the shops in any order. There's no adjacency.
Right.
So.
Or tell Amanda, go grab the tables.
Yep. The other thing that just kind of disappoints me is I really don't like seeing Kickstarter exclusive stuff be gameplay, especially when it's actually pretty meaningful gameplay, and that's the alternate shops, and they were Kickstarter exclusive. Your starter shops don't have an ability. They just give you a resource, and then they can have room for 3 dragons, but they don't have an ability that you can activate. Once you've played a couple of games and you're more advanced players, it's nice to have some starter shops that have an ability, and these alternate ones do. It's small. It's either gain a reputation or spend a reputation to get 2 resources from the shop.
Yeah, from the matching stone. So if it's an anvil shop,
Yeah.
the ability is I spent a thing to get 2 anvils.
Right. It's minor, but it's nice, and it's a meaningful choice that advanced gamers would really like to have.
Right.
Unfortunately,
you can house rule it and say that's a thing for these starter shops. It's
True.
just having a visual reminder on the cards themselves
agreed.
makes it an ability you would use.
Right. I mean, short of writing it on there or creating a sticker and putting it on there, you're right, Will. You could house rule it and just have a reminder for everybody that that's what it does. So it's not like you couldn't implement it in the game. It's just you wouldn't have the new pretty art and
the component to remind you.
Yeah. Surprisingly, the game is long for the experience. And I say surprising because it doesn't feel like it takes a long time.
Yeah, I think one of our second playthroughs is like, well, at least we got that one done in a quick time. And Sarah's like, 2 hours have passed.
Yep.
What?
We're just so both engaged, and that's a testament to the game that you're engaged. I'm interested in what Will does. Will's interested in what I'm doing because we're building the same space together, but we're competing over things. So I want to make it better for me, so I have to know what Will's doing. So that engagement is great, but the game is still kind of long.
Yes.
And you and I both kind of had some issues with some of the fancy dragon goals.
Yeah, there are things that are just completely out of your control.
Yeah.
So like the majority of dragons out on the board need to be this thing. You could affect it as much as possible, but honestly, you have other players playing dragons. So who knows? And all that becomes even more chaotic the more players you add in. So I think beyond 2 players, fancy dragons could actually be a little frustrating for players.
Yeah. And not all the goals are things like that, but it's one of those things that I've seen in several other games. Goals, when you give a player, a specific goal that they should be able to pursue, it should be something that they can actually affect on their own, not just be luckily random on whether or not it occurs, or if too many other people can negatively affect it, and they don't even know.
Yeah.
The other players don't even know that they're negatively affecting you. I don't know. Just...
Yeah, and then it's really bad when you have the fancy dragons that are opposite each other.
Oh, gosh.
And you're like, well, I'll win on one of these, or if someone else has it, and you're fighting over the one thing that it's already hard to control.
Yeah.
And now you have someone actively going against you.
Yeah. So people will probably get frustrated with the fancy dragons. My only advice is to just get more of them and hope some of them score.
Yes, that was my strategy, and I won.
It's true. He won. I wasn't able to get that many fancy dragons in that game, and he did, and that's how he won. It wasn't by a lot of points, but that's what pushed him forward.
Yes.
Okay, I think that covers everything we don't like about the game. So let's talk about who this game is for.
Now, this is an interesting weighted game because it's kind of a mid-weight game
But
for
kinda
the
light?
most part, but on the lighter side.
Yes.
So I would say if you are new to gaming or still doing this family-friendly type experience, this will be on the heavier side for you.
Yeah, but it'll be a good challenge to step up to.
Yes. So it's your, I'm getting into gaming in a big way. This is the next step up from your bog standard everyday gateway games.
Yes.
If you're on the hardcore side, this is definitely a light experience for you.
I mean, you'll have some choices.
Yeah. Now, the problem is, if you're a hardcore gamer and you're looking for a light experience, you might have problems with the fact that it's going to last you a couple
Yeah,
hours.
that's true. Most people who want a light experience don't want it to take 2 hours.
Yeah. The thing is, we have to remind you, this doesn't feel like a 2-hour experience.
Right. So this is going to be a hard one to land well for everybody, but it definitely will have its audience if the right people can come to the table. So you can have different needs, like a hardcore gamer wanting a light experience and a casual gamer wanting something a bit more challenging. And if they both come to the table to play this game, then they should enjoy it.
Yeah, in fact, that's what I would say the ideal is I'm a hardcore gamer, I want my non-hardcore game friends to play with me, I'll pull out Flamecraft.
Yeah, and I think that would be a really good sweet spot. I think the downside is because of the cutesy art and, well, yeah, just because of the cutesy art and the production, it might draw a lighter crowd that this might be too heavy and or too long. Just because some people, they might be able to handle the weight of it, but they just don't want to play for 2 hours.
Right, that's true.
Okay, so let's go on to ratings.
So for our ratings, we each have 1d6 worth of ratings to give. 1 is low, 6 is high. We give a number, a reason why, add them together, and see what it rolled for us. Sarah, what did Flamecraft roll for you?
It rolled a 5. I mean, cute dragons. We've covered this. The engaging gameplay, I just like it. I really like what you're doing, just the pacing of everything. And the only real downside I have is just the length of it, because I just won't always have 2 hours worth of energy in me to play it. But this is definitely a game I want to play and definitely play if someone else asks.
And for me, also a 5. Same reasons, pretty much. The timing of the game is long. But everything I feel in this game is smartly designed. Yeah, you're building up shops, and I think there was one moment where you said to me, it's like, well, we're not really using the enchantments. And I go, yeah, that's kind of the point, because if you're stopping to do resource stuff, that means you're not gaining points near the end of the game, which is what you want to do. But if you have to, you might as well get a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
So the game is very nicely integrated and balanced for where it needs to be at any given state.
Yes.
And so by the end, it does feel like you can pretty much do anything, and there's a lot of nice options to do.
Yep.
Just which one is the best for you.
Right.
But length does mean it can kill it as a choice, because you really only want to spend an hour playing games, not 2.
And this is not a game you could easily shorten.
No.
Because part of the experience is putting out those dragons. You could start with more dragons out and people having more resources, but I think you'd lose a lot of what makes the game fun. The experience.
One of the things I like is the evolution of the game, and that just bites right into it. And then you're getting into the problem of, well, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be doing because I didn't get drip fit. I didn't build up into it, so it doesn't feel natural at all.
Agreed.
So 10 out of 12. Fantastic score. Length is probably the biggest concern.
Yeah, it's what's bringing it down for us. But otherwise, everything else about this game is just fantastic.
Yes. So, Sarah.
Yes.
Were you like me, and every time you put an enchantment on a building, you wanted to say enchantment from like Dragon Age.
Was it Dragon Age?
Yes, enchantment.
Enchantment, yes. Yes, I did.
That's another problem.
Only a problem if you played Dragon Age and you heard, what was the character's name? Oh, dear Lord.
It was a little boy. I don't remember his name.
But yes, all he said was enchantment.
Enchantment. Okay. Well, there you go. And we've been Rolling with Reviews. And remember, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can reach out to us on the various social media platforms at
Rolling with Two. That's TWO. We are on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And on YouTube, please like and subscribe.
And if you have time, check out the other content Nanaman has found for you, because remember, he's rolling with you.